Most people listen to words. The wise listen to motives. That is why so many people get surprised, betrayed, and manipulated. They hear a promise and believe it. They hear praise and trust it. They hear an apology and forgive too quickly. But power does not live in words. Power lives in intention. And intention often hides behind beautiful language. A man rarely says exactly what he wants. He says what helps him get what he wants. This is not because every person is evil. It is because every person is protecting something. Their image, their desire, their fear, their advantage, their position. Words become a mask. The real meaning stays behind the mask. When someone says, "I am happy for you," are they truly happy? Sometimes yes. Sometimes they are comparing themselves to you and hiding their jealousy. When someone says, "Take your time," do they really mean it? Or are they quietly judging your delay? When someone says, "I just want what is best for you," are they thinking about your future or their control over it? The average person accepts words at face value. The powerful person studies behavior. He watches timing. He notices tone. He observes actions, because actions reveal what words try to hide. Machiavelli understood a simple truth. Human beings are not driven by honesty. They are driven by interest. Even good people have interests. Even loyal people have desires. Even kind people have hidden calculations. If you learn to see these calculations, you stop becoming an easy target. Think about your own life. How many times did someone tell you one thing and do another? How many times did a promise disappear when circumstances change? How many times did a person claim loyalty until a better opportunity appeared? The world is not ruled by what people say. It is ruled by what people want. Today, we will uncover the hidden meaning behind common phrases people use every day. We will look beyond the surface and into the real motives that often drive human behavior. Once you understand this game, conversations will never sound the same again. You will begin to hear what others miss. And that single skill can save you from manipulation, disappointment, and false expectations. The first phrase is one of the most dangerous because it sounds harmless. "I'm just being honest." At first, this sounds noble. Honesty is usually respected. Honesty sounds brave. Honest people are often trusted. But when someone starts a sentence with "I'm just being honest," pay close attention to what comes next. Sometimes they truly want to tell the truth. But many times this phrase is not about honesty. It is about protection. It is a shield, a way to avoid responsibility for the impact of their words. What they often really mean is, "I am about to say something harsh, and I do not want to be blamed for it." Notice how clever this is. By announcing honesty first, they place themselves in a moral position before speaking. If you react negatively, they can claim that you simply cannot handle the truth. This gives them power in the conversation. A skilled manipulator understands that labels are powerful. If he labels himself honest, many people stop questioning his motives. They focus only on his words. They forget to examine his intention. Machiavelli would advise you to ask a different question. Not "is this true," but "why is this person telling me this right now?" Timing reveals motive. If someone gives criticism only when you are vulnerable, their goal may not be honesty. It may be dominance. If someone suddenly becomes honest during an argument, their goal may not be truth. It may be victory. The truth can be spoken with respect. It can be spoken with wisdom. It can be spoken with the desire to help. But when honesty becomes a weapon, the hidden motive starts to appear. Never judge a statement by its label. Judge it by its purpose. Because in the game of power, the most dangerous lies are often wrapped in the language of truth. Do whatever you want. On the surface, it appears to be freedom. It sounds as if the other person is giving you complete control over the decision. But in many situations, these words do not mean freedom at. What they often really mean is, "I disagree, but I do not want to argue anymore." Sometimes it means, "You are making a mistake, and I want you to deal with the consequences yourself." And sometimes it means something even more dangerous. "I want to avoid responsibility if this fails." A wise observer never focuses only on the sentence. He studies the emotional temperature around it. Did the person say it calmly? Did they say it after a long disagreement? Did they say it with frustration? Did they stop participating in the conversation afterward? The answers matter, because people often use indirect language when they do not want conflict. Instead of expressing their true feelings openly, they hide them behind words that sound neutral. Machiavelli understood that direct confrontation creates resistance. Many people prefer indirect influence because it protects their image. That is why powerful individuals listen carefully when people suddenly stop arguing. Silence does not always mean agreement. Sometimes silence is surrender. Sometimes silence is disappointment. Sometimes silence is strategic withdrawal. The person who understands this avoids a costly mistake. He does not assume approval where there is only exhaustion. The next phrase is extremely common. No offense, but whenever you hear this phrase, pay attention. The speaker is preparing the battlefield before launching the attack. What they often really mean is, I know this may offend you, but I want to say it anyway. Think about the strategy behind it. Before delivering criticism, they attempt to reduce responsibility for the emotional reaction. If you become upset, they can point back to the warning. I said no offense, but words spoken before an insult do not erase the insult. A person who truly wishes to avoid offense usually chooses better words. Machiavelli believed perception is often more important than reality. When someone says no offense, they are shaping perception. They want to appear reasonable, even while delivering something unpleasant. The lesson is simple. Ignore the introduction. Examine the message. People reveal themselves through substance, not through disclaimers. The next phrase appears generous. I'm only trying to help. Sometimes this statement is sincere. Sometimes it comes from genuine care. But not always. Many people use help as a tool of influence. What they often really mean is, I want you to follow my advice. Or, I want a say in your decision. Or even, I want control without appearing controlling. This is why some people become angry when their advice is ignored. If helping was their true goal, your freedom to choose would not bother them. But when influence is the real goal, rejection feels personal. Watch carefully. A person's reaction to disagreement reveals their true motive. Someone who genuinely wants the best for you can accept that you may choose another path. Someone seeking control struggles to accept independence. Machiavelli frequently emphasized that people pursue their own interests while presenting noble reasons. This does not mean every act of kindness is fake. It means you should separate intentions from appearances. The next phrase is one of the most revealing. I trust you. Most people hear these words and immediately feel honored. Trust creates emotional connection. Trust creates obligation. Trust creates pressure. That is why these words can be extremely powerful. Sometimes what the speaker really means is, I expect you to act according to my wishes. Notice how trust can quietly become a form of influence. A manager says, I trust you. A friend says, I trust you. A partner says, I trust you. The statement sounds positive, but it often carries an invisible expectation. The expectation may be loyalty. The expectation may be agreement. The expectation may be sacrifice. The expectation may be obedience. A skilled strategist understands that every gift can contain a hidden request. Trust is valuable, but trust should never blind you. Ask yourself an important question. Does this person's trust allow freedom, or does it create pressure? The answer reveals much more than the words themselves. Now consider another phrase. I don't care. These words are rarely as simple as they appear. Sometimes they truly mean indifference, but often they mean something completely different. I care too much. People say I don't care when they feel rejected. People say I don't care when they feel powerless. People say I don't care when they want to protect their pride. Machiavelli understood that pride drives much of human behavior. When people cannot control an outcome, they often pretend the outcome does not matter. This allows them to preserve dignity. The statement becomes emotional armor. The wise person recognizes this pattern. He understands that indifference is sometimes a disguise for disappointment. What people deny with words often appears through behavior. They say they do not care, Yet they continue watching. They continue asking questions. They continue reacting. Their actions expose the truth. Always remember this principle. Words tell you what people want you to believe. Behavior tells you what they actually believe. And when words and actions conflict, trust the actions every time, because human nature has not changed for centuries. People still hide fear behind confidence. They hide jealousy behind praise. They hide control behind concern. They hide ambition behind loyalty. And those who understand these patterns gain an advantage that most people never develop. They stop listening like ordinary observers. They start listening like strategists. I could be wrong. At first, this seems like a sign of open-mindedness. It sounds reasonable. It sounds mature. It sounds like someone who is willing to consider other perspectives. But many times, that is not the real purpose. What they often really mean is, I believe I am right, but I want to sound reasonable while saying it. This phrase is a powerful social tool. It lowers resistance. People become less defensive because the speaker appears flexible. Yet notice what often happens next. After saying I could be wrong, they spend the next 10 minutes explaining why they are right. The words suggest uncertainty. The behavior suggests certainty. Machiavelli understood that people often use humility to increase persuasion. Open confidence can create opposition. Strategic humility creates acceptance. That is why you should never judge confidence by appearance alone. Some of the most confident people hide their certainty behind polite language. The next phrase is one you hear everywhere. It's not personal. When someone says this, your attention should immediately increase. Because if it truly were not personal, they usually would not need to say it. What they often really mean is, this decision benefits me, even if it hurts you. A company fires an employee. A friend chooses another opportunity. A business partner breaks an agreement. Then comes the familiar sentence. It's not personal, but human beings experience consequences personally. The statement is often designed to reduce guilt rather than explain reality. Machiavelli frequently observed that people justify actions that serve their interests. They prefer explanations that preserve their image. Nobody wants to see themselves as selfish, so they create stories that make self-interest appear necessary. The wise listener understands this. He does not become angry. He simply sees the situation clearly. The next phrase sounds friendly. We should catch up sometime. In many cases, this is not a real invitation. It is social diplomacy. What they often really mean is, I want to end this conversation positively. If someone genuinely wants to meet, they usually discuss a date, a time, or a plan. Interest creates action. Words without action often reveal weak intention. This is one of the simplest principles of power. Measure commitment through effort, not enthusiasm, not promises, not emotional speeches. Effort. People invest time into what matters to them. Their calendar reveals priorities more accurately than their words ever will. Now consider another common phrase. I was just joking. Sometimes it is truly a joke, but sometimes it is a retreat. What they often really mean is, I tested a statement and received a negative reaction. So they pull back. The joke becomes an escape route. A person makes a rude comment. People react badly. Suddenly it was only humor. A person reveals an uncomfortable opinion. Others disagree. Suddenly it was only a joke. Machiavelli would have recognized this immediately. Testing reactions is an ancient strategy. People reveal small pieces of their intentions, and then watch how others respond. If accepted, they move forward. If rejected, they retreat. This allows them to gather information while avoiding risk. The lesson is simple. Pay attention to what people repeatedly joke about. Patterns often reveal hidden beliefs. Now we arrive at one of the most important phrases of all. Trust me. History has made this sentence famous. And for good reason. The more someone asks for trust, the more carefully you should observe them. Genuine trust is usually earned. It grows through consistency. It grows through reliability. It grows through actions repeated over time. People who deserve trust often spend less time demanding it. What they often really mean is, accept my claim before verifying it. This does not mean everyone using the phrase is dishonest. It means trust should never replace observation. Machiavelli believed that appearances can be manufactured, words can be rehearsed, promises can be performed, but behavior is much harder to fake for long periods. That is why actions remain the ultimate source of truth. And this brings us to the most valuable rule in this entire discussion. Never listen to words in isolation. Compare words to incentives. Compare words to timing. Compare words to behavior. Compare words to outcomes. If someone says they support you, watch what they do when you succeed. If someone says they care about you, watch how they act when helping becomes inconvenient. If someone promises loyalty, watch what happens when a better opportunity appears. Human nature leaves clues everywhere. Most people miss them because they are hypnotized by language. The strategist is different. He understands that words are often designed to create an impression. Actions reveal reality. This does not mean becoming cynical. It does not mean distrusting everyone. It means developing awareness. The goal is not paranoia. The goal is clarity. When you understand what people really mean, you become harder to manipulate. You make better decisions. You choose better allies. You avoid unnecessary disappointment. And most importantly, you stop confusing promises with proof. Machiavelli's lesson was never to hate human nature. His lesson was to understand it. Because the person who understands human nature gains an advantage that money cannot buy and status cannot guarantee. He sees what others overlook. He hears what others miss, and that awareness becomes power. If you enjoyed this video and learned something valuable, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more deep insights into power, psychology, human behavior, and the timeless lessons of Machiavelli. Share this video with someone who needs to understand the difference between what people say and what they really mean. And tell me in the comments, which phrase do you hear most often in real life? And what do you think it actually means? Until next time, remember this: judge people less by their words and more by their actions, because actions are where the truth finally stops hiding.